Welcome to Contours of Our Soul and Beyond. Have you ever noticed how quickly people form opinions about someone they've never even met? Someone says she's difficult, she's arrogant, you can't trust them. And just like that, a story is written about you or anybody. Not because an experience you had, not because a conversation you shared with that person, but because someone else handed you their vision of the truth. The question is, why are we so willing to borrow somebody else's opinion instead of creating our own? Why do we do that? Think about it. Every single person you meet is a completely different experience. How beautiful is that? Depending on who you are. The vision of someone that one person knows may be the vision you'll ever meet. Maybe they caught someone on their worst day. Maybe there was a jealousy. Maybe there was a competition. Maybe there was hurt. Or maybe personalities simply clashed. Yet, somehow, we take one person's experience and turn it into someone's identity. That's dangerous. That's very dangerous. Because opinions are not facts. You got to understand that. Somebody's opinion of somebody is not facts. Think about that for a second. It's their perspective. And perspectives are shaped by emotions, by experiences, by insecurities, expectations, and sometimes pure misunderstanding. So we live in a world where stereotypes are everywhere. People judge by race, by tattoos, by appearance, by age, by where someone grew up, by the way they talk, by the way they wear, the clothes they wear, what they drive, even by who their friends are with. Before a word is spoken, a conclusion has already been made. How fair is that? It's not. Think about it. How fair is that? Imagine being introduced to a room where everyone already thinks they know you because they've heard stories. No, it doesn't work like that. You haven't even spoken. You haven't even smiled. You haven't even shown your heart. Yet, you're already carrying the weight of someone else's narrative. That happens every single day. I've been there. I know most of you have been there. It's life. But here's what's interesting. Most gossip starts with one sentence. I've heard, or they told me. And suddenly, people start to build an entire opinion based on information. Information they never verified. It's amazing how comfortable people become repeating stories that they never witnessed. Witness it for yourself. They'll defend opinions that aren't even their own. When did we stop being curious? When did we stop that? Being curious enough to discover people for ourselves. When did that stop? I don't, ask yourself that. Some of the most incredible friendship, partnership, mentors, and opportunities in life could be missed because we listened to someone else's warnings instead of trusting your own experience. How many people have been overlooked because they didn't fit someone else's expectation? Think about that. Think about that, and think about it in the perspective of your own life. How many genuine souls have been labeled as too much, too quiet, too confident, too emotional, too different? Different doesn't mean dangerous. Confident doesn't mean arrogant. Quiet doesn't mean unfriendly. I used to get that a lot. I was shy. I moved to Canada from Sweden, and I didn't speak a word of English. And we didn't have the technology we have today. That came later. If we had the technology we had today, I think I would be a genius. Just kidding. But yeah, so I used to walk around with a Swedish English dictionary. It was this big, and I used to walk around the classroom trying to figure out my homework or what the teacher said. I refused to get extra help because I wanted to be in the classroom with everybody else. I had made an agreement with a lot of teachers that I might hand in my work a little bit slower because I do go home and I translate everything and translate it back again to English. So that took time. So I was very shy because I couldn't speak the language. And a lot of people thought my shyness was arrogance, or my shyness meant I was unfriendly person. I used to be quiet in events. I used to sit on the table and not speak. It wasn't because I wasn't unfriendly. I was afraid I was going to say something wrong, or my English wasn't good enough to speak. They might misunderstand, or I might say the wrong thing. So you have to kind of take every person differently. My point is, quiet doesn't mean unfriendly. Strong doesn't mean heartless. People are so much more than the labels they're given. Trust me. The truth is, every person has chapters. We all have chapters. I've heard a lot of stories. I'm always interested in people's experiences and what they go through, what made them who they are. I love hearing people's stories. And trust me, every person has chapters. Different ones, interesting ones, sad ones, happy ones, but it makes us who we are. So some people meet you at chapter 3. Others meet you in chapter 15. Someone who knew you years ago might be describing a version of you that doesn't exist any longer. Because people do grow, people heal, people mature, yet society often freezes people in their past and refuses to let them evolve. We all want grace from our own mistakes. Why is it so difficult to extend that same grace to others? Here is another uncomfortable truth I've learned. Sometimes opinions we hear say more about the person speaking than the person they're speaking about. Think about that for a minute. People project, they gossip, they exaggerate, they compete, they compare. Sometimes they want others to see someone through a negative lens. Ask yourself why. Because it protects their image. Not every negative story is rooted in honesty. Sometimes it's rooted in insecurity. That's why wisdom requires insight. Not everything you hear deserves belief. Imagine if every relationship in your life had been decided by someone else's opinion. Your best friend, your spouse, your mentor, your business, your partner, your favorite teacher. Would those relationships even exist? Ask yourself that. Think about it for a minute. Probably not. Because meaningful relationships are built on personal experiences, not borrowed judgments. Here's a challenge. Next time someone tells you who another person is, pause. Pause. Don't immediately agree. Don't automatically judge. Meet the person. Don't engage in that conversation. Meet the person. Have the conversation. Observe how they treat you. Let your own experiences shape your opinion. Give people the opportunity to introduce themselves before someone else introduces them for you. Because not everyone deserves the chance to be known, not just talked about. They all deserve to be known. At the end of the day, stereotypes are shortcuts. Gossip is a second-hand information. Opinions are personal. But character reveals itself over time. Don't let someone else's bitterness become your blindness. Don't let another person's experience rob you from your own. Some of the greatest people I've ever met may have wrapped in rumors. Some of the kindest hearts may have worst reputations. I know a lot of them. You see them differently, they treat you differently, but then in another person's eyes, they are a completely different person. I know a lot of people who have the kindest heart but have the worst reputation. And some of the loudest critics know the least. Some think for yourself. Listen with wisdom. Judge less. Observe more. Get to know people before deciding who they are. Really, get to know them. Because the most authentic opinions you'll ever have is the one you earn yourself, not from other people's opinions. So thank you for listening to this episode. Please, if I made you stop and think, share it with someone who believes in looking beyond labels and giving people the chance to be seen for truly who they are. Until next time, stay open-minded, stay curious, and remember, every person has a story worth hearing, especially from them, not from somebody else. Thank you for listening. Skål.